Welcome guys, let's go through and rate each and every one of the drivers for the Italian Grand Prix, which turned out to be a brilliant race. Really intense right up to the end, where we saw the two McLarens throw away a win, but that's giving not enough credit to Ferrari and Charles Leclerc for a magnificent drive. George Russell-esque, like he pulled off in Belgium. Ferrari nicked a note out of their book, didn't they? And what a brilliant strategy call, and for Charles Leclerc to pull it off, which is a front left limited track, and well, boy did he do a fantastic job. It started off so well for him, jumping straight into P2. He captured and made the most of the squabble up front with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, who I mean, they were saying that it was a strong move by Piastri, wasn't it, on Norris, and they'd have some words within the McLaren and discuss the papaya rules, which was yeah, interesting the way they call that, isn't it? But yeah, it was a brilliant job from Charles Leclerc. Made the most of that and hung in really well, didn't he? I thought I was surprised he managed to keep that position for as long as he did. He got undercut in the pit stops. Charles Leclerc actually really quite annoyed at his team for letting that happen. The alternative was for them to stay out a little bit longer. I think the strategy that they did with Sainz probably didn't work too much, because the undercut was quite strong and they lost quite a bit of time, and they weren't making that up once they came in and put on the fresher tyres. So probably a little bit early, could have stayed out one or two more laps, but from there on, strategy wise, it was fairly straightforward, wasn't it? Just stick with it, go one stop if that's possible. The two McLarens fighting between each other wore out their tyres and gave Charles the perfect chance to go for it. They'd already won livery and special outfit of the weekend, didn't they? A brilliant looking all black for Charles Leclerc. The helmet of Carlos Sainz looked fantastic, and to go off and win the race in front of the Tifosi, a magnificent drive, a brilliant win for Charles Leclerc. A 10 out of 10 for me for this weekend. It was superb. Second place, Oscar Piastri, and he's a difficult one to rate, isn't he? Because effectively they've thrown away the win, but what a job he did to pounce on his teammate, caught him napping a little bit. A harsh but fair challenge for the lead. There wasn't any damage. He just caught Norris out by surprise. The resulting meant that Norris was off the back foot, and that let Charles Leclerc and Ferrari through. McLaren might not be too happy with that as a team. That probably gave Charles Leclerc the sniff, put him in the position to do what he did. But for that, I think it would have been a comfortable win for McLaren from there. They could have both got a bit of clear air and gapped the guys behind. They were both the fastest cars, and for them not to win again, they'll be disappointed, especially for Oscar. He was absolutely brilliant in a track where you had to manage tyres, and that was actually his biggest flaw for all of last season. To pull that right, he was faster than Lando Norris, there's no doubt about that, throughout the first stint and comfortably within the second stint. He'd gapped Lando about 5 seconds before he pit for his second stop, and from there on he was comfortably ahead of Lando Norris. Made a critical and crucial quick sharp pass on Max Verstappen, and was an absolute charge to get down and close down Charles Leclerc. Got within a couple of seconds in the end, but with so much to do, I think he drove brilliantly. It's so harsh for him not to win. You can see why he was so disappointed, but McLaren threw away the win, and well, are they throwing away a world championship? And this is what I'm going to get through the whole McLaren bubble. It's almost as if they're like too proud and excited just to be there within the fight, and it looks like there's a real chance for them to win the championship this year, both drivers and constructors. The constructors look like it's more within their grasp, considering where their car is. They'll overhaul that points deficit of, I think, 8 or 10 points now pretty comfortably. I think by the end of the next race weekend they'll be disappointed if they're not leading that in Baku. But to be giving away points to Max Verstappen. They threw away 6 points in Hungary for not calling it on Oscar Piastri, and again a few more points this weekend by not switching Lando, Norris and Piastri. The gap is 62 points up at the top. It could have been well in the 40s had they told Piastri to concede position, and 40 points with 8 races to go. It's the championship is well on if you've got Max Verstappen falling way back and down where he is. They go to 2 tracks next where Baku, they should be better. Red Bull, it's one they've done alright at, but they really struggle in Singapore, and considering how bad they have done here where they're normally quite good, you know, there's a big opportunity there for Lando Norris again to make massive inroads on that championship fight. So if you look at what's coming up and looking at how good that McLaren is, they really are absolutely shooting themselves in the foot. And to think that, you know, on it, racing teams looking for every millimetre an edge, to be throwing away points like this where there's a championship on, it's almost like they're saying we'll get them at some point next year. They've almost conceded that Max Verstappen is way too far so far this season by not giving Lando Norris the ultimate opportunity. It's going to be a kick in the teeth for Oscar Piastri fans to hear that, but he drove absolutely brilliantly this weekend. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 because I thought he was absolutely fantastic. But really, should they be favouring Lando Norris, the man that finished 3rd in the end from pole position? Well, he did the job off the start line, didn't he? Cut off Oscar Piastri, probably maybe too much so, that meant he narrowed the turn on at turn 1 of the first part of that chicane, meant his exit was compromised. Got a bit of a wobble on when he exited that, which meant Oscar Piastri smelt blood, and boy did he take it. Lando Norris probably wasn't too happy with that. I think he broke a little bit early, thinking there's no threat in from behind from my teammate, or not like he did anyway. Clearly got caught out by surprise by that. He felt it was a little bit too robust. I think he's probably being a bit soft if you ask me. He should be racing full out flat and, you know, defending from the front. He knows what Oscar's like. He's not going to give him an inch. And boy, does he need to make every little move correct on the first lap. Another start where he's not led the first lap from pole position, and from there he dropped back behind Charles Leclerc, and from there you could sort of see the struggle that they would have. They weren't able to pass the Ferrari on pace, undercut him on the first stint, which was actually a good call from the McLaren guys, and you thought from there on Lando Norris would be on a charge to close down Oscar Piastri for the win. Both probably looking at each other for the fight and probably lost sight a little bit of what's could happen. The 2 Red Bulls going long on their hard tyres probably threw another element in the mix, and did they get their eye off the ball a little bit of what Ferrari were doing, because they went kind of under the radar a little bit, didn't they? Nobody kind of thought them guys would be the ones to take it all the way to the end on a one stop, but it was an absolute no-brainer, no risk from Ferrari. They would have finished where they were had they just gone for a two-stop strategy, and so a brilliant call, outsmarted the McLaren guys again. And Lando Norris losing points, should have been done a favour, and he was slower on the day compared to Oscar Piastri, but could he, you know, should McLaren have pulled rank and said, look, Oscar, let this man through. He definitely didn't deserve it. He wasn't the faster of the 2 McLarens on the day, but really for the championship, he's your only bet. And he is good enough. Look at his 1 lap pace, has been brilliant. A fantastic pole lap, comfortably on pole position, even on a lap that he thought he'd messed it up on. Shows the pace that he had in that McLaren, but again, it's not gone right on race day. It's a really difficult one to judge, but I'm giving him a 6 out of 10. It's going to sound really harsh, but I was so disappointed with Lando Norris. Not at any point was he the man that took charge or control of that race when he really should have. He's good, he's mega fast, but he was kind of outshone by Oscar Piastri in that 2nd McLaren this weekend. 4th place man, Carlos Sainz. I think he did a brilliant job. Started in 5th place, moved up to 4th. He went long on his first stop. I think it was a bit too much to ask for him to hold back the two McLarens on the tyres that he had. I think Charles, had the two McLarens caught up on him, would have been in a similar position, a bit of a sitting duck. You can pass and overtake in Italy, but a really good job from where he started. He'll be very, very happy with the result overall in the end. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Moved up a place from where he started. A really good 4th place finish for him. 5th place, Lewis Hamilton started in 6th, got up to 5th place at the start. Well, he was running P5 for pretty much most of the race. It looked a little bit under threat from the Red Bull of Max Verstappen at one point, but comfortably gapped him, didn't he, on a couple of laps older hard tyres. Max on the mediums, and I thought the Red Bulls will be in business here, but it didn't really quite work out for them. They were comfortably faster than the Red Bulls, but not fast enough as the Ferraris to cause any pain for them. Simple strategy of like a medium hard options for them. Didn't really throw any extra element. Another one, could he have gone one stop and thrown something else in the mix, try and gain another place? I think it would have been harder for him. They weren't quite as fast at the races over race distance, which actually was a surprise. Their race pace over the free practice looked quite good. When it came to race break, wasn't so good. Lewis had what should have been on pole. He had a really good qualifying session run right up until that final Q3 session. He was so hard on himself. And probably a little bit too much, a bit of a Debbie Downer like we've seen with Lando Norris, but he'll be disappointed to be where he was in the end for qualifying. Had he qualified better, would he have finished much higher up? I'm not sure on race pace. Potentially could have held off Carlos Sainz and finished one place up, but it wasn't an awful lot on it for him in the end of race day. I'm going to go for a 7 out of 10, a decent finish overall. Max Verstappen next, started in 7th, finished in 6th, and well, he was up to 6th after Russell made a mistake, but from there on it was just a horrible scruffy weekend overall. They just weren't on it at all. A slow stop, 6.2 seconds for his first stop, and they went for the 2-stop strategy right from the off, didn't they? Made it clear, went hard, and then had a power unit issue, had to reduce power on that, so was never really in the fight. I think maybe being a bit harsh, knowing that he should have done better with what he was on Lewis Hamilton. He was only 7 seconds behind after his second stop on the fresh medium tyres, but never closed up. Well, he's going to be looking over his shoulder hard, isn't he? I mean, he's probably glad that McLaren are kind of giving him a little bit of leeway in this Drivers' Championship. He's getting off the hook a little bit here with them throwing away points for Lando Norris McLaren, because they've had by far the fastest car over the last couple of races, and really this was Norris's race to win. And with Max finishing 6th, a massive change in the constructors. He knows that now the next couple of races aren't going to be tracks which suit their car anyway. They are a million miles off of where they have been. They look like the Aston Martin, don't they, at the moment, where upgrades come and they're going backwards, which is really strange from how dominant they've been at the start of the season. To see how far they've fallen is an absolute shock. They've lost 3 big guys up at the top, and it looks just like a house of cards just falling apart, doesn't it? One piece at a time. Max will be really, giving him a kick up the backside. A disappointing weekend overall. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. 7th place finish for George Russell. He'll be disappointed. He started in 3rd place, got caught out at the start by Oscar Piastri, damage to his front wing, had to pit early, and that threw his strategy off completely from there, went 2-stop. Got the good pass on Sergio Perez, and after that it was a difficult race weekend for him. He'll be disappointed. I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10 to start 3rd and finish 7th. Disappointing. He wasn't quick in any part of the race. 8th place, Sergio Perez, and to say that's better from where he was closer to Max Verstappen. That's the start. He started 1 place behind him. That's the first time we've seen that for a long time. Started 8th, finished 8th, but disappointing overall. He was only just 5 seconds to Magnussen at the end. I know that was before the penalty for Magnussen came into place, but to finish 14 seconds behind Russell, again disappointing. There was no pace in that Red Bull at all, which was the big surprise, but more of the same from Sergio Perez. Started behind, finished Max Verstappen, finished a place behind not a great Mercedes either, to be honest, in race day. So overall another disappointing race, I'd say, but better in the sense that he's closer to Max Verstappen. A 4 out of 10 for me. 9th place man Alex Albon brings home a couple of crucial points for Williams. Now, he looked into this 9th place a little bit because the 10th place 10-second penalty for Kevin Magnussen meant he moved up from 10th to 9th because of that, but absolutely fantastic points for him and the Williams team. The upgrades worked. They tend to go well in Imola, Monza anyway, and well, he did the job. You've got to still make it count. Fantastic points finish from me. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 because I thought that was a really good drive. Next up, Kevin Magnussen, and well, this is really a sad story, isn't it? We started in 13th, a brilliant P9 finish, got the 10-second penalty for an incident with Pierre Gasly, which I think is really harsh. Even Pierre Gasly was saying that the 10-second penalty was harsh for the incident. He was wheel to wheel, they touched. The steward said it was wholly Magnussen's fault, and that's why he got a 10-second penalty. Ricciardo's incident was probably worse and only got a 5-second penalty. He was really disappointed with the discrepancy of the penalties there. He's got 2 penalty points on his licence, takes him to 12, and well, he's going to miss the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The first driver to rack up 12 points and miss a race. It looked like that could be on after his team performance, where he was a bit erratic, wasn't he, to help out Nico Hülkenberg. It kind of really cost him here this weekend because he was in 9th place, bringing home a really solid result for him, but to finish 10th, still a brilliant result in my eyes, but real kick in the teeth to get them points. And I think actually it was really harsh for him to get that. Was there a penalty due? Possibly another 5 seconds, but nothing more than that. It didn't seem any more worse than the Ricciardo one in my eyes, and even the eyes of the driver on the receiving end, who actually felt really sympathetic to him and said actually he should have that penalty reversed. A difficult one to judge, but I'm going to give him an 8.5 out of 10 because I think it was actually really good drive to finish where he did in the end. 11th place man Fernando Alonso started in 11th, finished in the 11th in the end. Well, Aston Martin dropping back, aren't they? They thought they'd be fighting for that 10th place position, but to lose out to a Williams and a Haas, them guys are going backwards and fast. It's been a horrible weekend overall for Aston Martin. He was in 10th place, running up in ranks after the first stop, but the second stint wasn't too good for him. Finished in 11th in the end. I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. Disappointing overall for Fernando Alonso. A 12th place finish for Franco Colapinto in his first race for the Williams outfit. He finished just 13 seconds behind Alex Albon in the end. I think he can be very happy with his race overall. Went for the one stop. He managed to make them tyres to the end, so good try management from him in the end. He was just 5 seconds off Daniel Ricciardo at one point, up to P16, and then to finish up where he did, a really solid job from him. He can be happy with his first drive. He didn't put it in the wall, kept it all on track. He wasn't a million miles of Alex, 3/10 in qualifying for his first time in that car. He'll only get better and more used to the team and the car, and so should be, a really good base and starting place from him. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. 13th place, Nico Hülkenberg, and wow, he's been in the... no, it's not. 13th place finish for Daniel Ricciardo, and well, he was missed a penalty, wasn't he? Got a 10-second penalty for his incident where he was clearly at fault, and then got another 10-second penalty because the mechanic, as he came in, just touched the front rear wing, didn't he? And that meant that the penalty wasn't carried out correctly, and got another 10-second penalty just for that. I felt that was really harsh because it was clearly not any work done on the car, and that's what they say in the rules, but it was literally a touch on the front wing, just to steady the car, probably just natural reaction of what they do for when they lift that car up on the jacks to change tyres, just to stabilise it, and to get a penalty for that. I thought that was really harsh. It wasn't like it's half started turning the wheel nut, it was literally just touching the front wing. no work was done. But yeah, another 10 seconds, 20 seconds added to his time in his race. He finished 22 seconds, 24 seconds behind P10. He did felt like the car just wasn't fast enough this weekend. He apologised for the incident that he had with Hülkenberg, accepted blame with that, but a bit of a scruffy weekend. 2 points, or 2 penalties, should I say, and a bit of an incident. A horrible weekend overall, I'd say, for the guys at AlphaTauri. 6 out of 10 for me. 14th place finish for Esteban Ocon, and he was only racing his teammate really this weekend. They were absolutely nowhere. A bit of a struggle. They were in no man's land, neither fighting or holding up anyone behind and not attacking anyone up front. Like I said, just beats his teammate, and that's probably the best he could have hoped for. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. 15th place man, Pierre Gasly, started 14th, finished 15th, beaten by his teammate. I'll be disappointed overall how his weekend's gone. And just disappointed where the team is at the moment, isn't it? Way back, not fighting for anything, not where he wants to be. A 5 out of 10 for me. Next up, Valtteri Bottas, 16th place finish, and actually that's really quite a good result from him. He was up to 10th place at one point, wasn't he? Went really long on his hards, and that really helped him to pull off the strategy that he did. A one-stop, beats Nico Hülkenberg, beats an Aston Martin. He'll be happy just to be not at the back of the grid. I think it was a really good drive. That car we know is absolutely nowhere at the moment, and to beat a couple of other guys is probably the best they can hope for. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. 17th place man, Nico Hülkenberg, started 10th. He had a shocking race, didn't he? Got a 10-second penalty, put him down to P19. He was running at the back, way back, for pretty much most of the race from there. I do feel like he must have got some damage, maybe with his incident with Yuki, which he pretty much just took him out, didn't he? That was probably worthy of some penalty points, not his teammate Kevin Magnussen. But yeah, it was just a really scruffy, horrible race from him, especially considering he qualified so well up into P10. It could have really been P9 this weekend, but it wasn't to be in the end. A really horrible race. I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10, not where he wants to be. 18th place man, Zhou Guanyu, he beats an Aston Martin, and probably the highlight you can get was 12 seconds behind his teammate Valtteri Bottas. He's petering away, isn't he? Doesn't look like he'll be staying in F1, although there are rumours. I think just because he comes with good big backing and there's money on the pot to keep him in a seat, isn't it? Rumours of him potentially retaining a seat. There's only 2 seats left now. I cannot see him staying. There's also always a potential of that, but given his performance, he's comfortably being beaten, hammered by Valtteri Bottas in the last couple of races. In fact, he was 30 odd seconds behind him last time, he's 12 seconds behind him this time. Disappointing. He's not really done anything yet that I can think that's any better than what Logan Sargent did. The fact that the only benefit is he's just not put it in the wall, but it's probably because he's not fast enough. Not great. I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. And finally, the last place finisher, 19th place, Lance Stroll. He started in 17th after a really poor qualifying. His race got even worse, didn't it? You thought it couldn't get worse than that. Absolutely hammered by his teammate. He fished last of the drivers, absolutely nowhere. Went for I don't know what they tried at the end to go on the softs, maybe to nick fastest lap. Couldn't pull that off either. Just a weekend to forget. He was absolutely nowhere. Mistakes, slow, comfortably beaten by Fernando Alonso. We're seeing the old Lance Stroll return, aren't we? I'm going to go for a 2 out of 10 for him. And then the final man, DNF for Yuki Tsunoda. He had a really disappointing qualifying session. He's the man with the upgrades on that car and didn't really get the most out of them. It looked like he just struggled to get on top of that car, made the car worse. And we're seeing that happen a few times now with upgrades come and they're not always working straight out the box, apart from if you're a McLaren. Let me just correct that. But everybody else seems to take a little bit of time to try and understand these upgrades to maximise them. It looked like that was another one for him, but retired after lap 7, yeeted out by Nico Hülkenberg, who, like I say, surprisingly escaped a penalty. Yet his teammate got one, but not penalty points I'm talking about there. He did get a 10-second penalty for that, but yeah, it didn't help Yuki at all. No rating for him. And there we have it. Let's take a quick look at the predictions. Well, I thought it would be a McLaren 1-2 for pole position and second place. I got that order right. Lando, Norris first, Oscar Piastri second. I did think Charles Leclerc will pull it off in third, but he was fourth in the end. It was George Russell that took that third place on the podium. And for the race, well, I'd never thought we'd see a Ferrari victory, but Charles Leclerc pulled it off. I did think it would be Norris, Piastri and then Max Verstappen. Leclerc won that race, Oscar Piastri second, I got that one right, and Lando Norris in third place. I did think it would be a good weekend for the McLaren and the Williams. Good weekend for the McLaren, a 2-3, I think you can say that, but a race they should have won and probably should have reversed the other drivers, so it's getting hard, that one. I'm going to take that because it was a good point, double point, 2 points for Williams in 9th place, so a good weekend for them. I did think it would be a bad race weekend for the Sauber, that was easy, but then the Aston Martins, both drivers out of the points in both of them teams, so I'll take the good predictions on that. Next, we head to Azerbaijan, couple of weeks time. There's a break now for this weekend before we head there. Well, another surprise winner. Who'd have thought it when we seeing the McLaren so dominant in qualifying? This season is really giving an awful lot for the F1 fans. A fantastic weekend of racing. It was brilliant. A fantastic home win for Charles Leclerc. What a drive. It just shown why he's such a star. We were kind of writing him off a little bit, haven't we, so far this season? Not giving him his dues, not giving him his credit. He drove a brilliant race in Zandvoort and a fantastic win in Monza in front of the home fans for a Tifosi. The two races he'd want to win, his home race and your team's home race, he'd pull them off. Yeah, he'll be hoping for more. Will he get that in Baku? Well, they've got more time to understand the upgrades that they've brought to that Ferrari. They can definitely pull that off. And then they head to Singapore, which is where they won before. And so they'll be probably hoping they can pull on a reign of form. And well, could they take this fight to Red Bull and the constructors? They're only 40 points behind Ferrari. It's battling. Could we see a three-way for the fight for the constructors? Who knows if McLaren keep throwing it away like they are. It's anybody's game, anything up for grabs. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. See you next time.